does.
He does all the time. Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the host of Real Talk with Miss G, and I have my beautiful and talented Miss Stacy, my other half. How are you, Stacy?
Hi, Miss G. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, baby. And we have a guest today. Her name is Dottie. She's fighting CPS, and she's going to share her story with us shortly. Her story is very interesting, and I believe she has an amazing case actually against the Department of Children and Family Services for yet another corruption on their hands. Um, Stacy is going to share something personal regarding her case that I want her to share. I actually told her today to share it. Um, we are contacting several news media about this, and please, Stacy, go ahead and start.
So, Miss G, I think this happens a lot. I don't think that this is an isolated incident where multiple material court documents were obstructed and tampered with from my case. Um, the irony of it is we all know this is a crime now, and the world knows this is a crime in New York State because of the recent conviction of Donald J. Trump for
Mm-hmm.
34 felonies of a similar type of crime with malfeasance of official government records.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the same courts that convicted Donald J. Trump, New York State Supreme Courts, did the same thing but worse to me that they said that Donald Trump did. And the irony of this whole thing as it's going down, I thought last night, I think this was last night, I was like, let me count how many documents that I put an asterisk next to on my docket sheet and see how many documents it was that were obstructed from my official court record. Guess how many documents it was?
34. I saw it. I literally saw it, and I review all her documents, Stacy. And they did the same exact thing to her that they did to President Trump. And I want everyone to understand this is in retaliation against anyone that goes against them and names corrupt judges, names corrupt social workers, names corrupt court appointed attorneys, anything that has to do with child trafficking as well, they will go against. So basically, Donald Trump tried to he exposed many of them. And of course, that's why they're retaliating against him. Same thing with Stacey. When I read her brief, when I read everything about her case, I realized that she also has a lot of people in higher places to expose. And I've seen evidence on her case. I literally dissected Stacy's case, and the corruption is real. Okay. And I'm telling you guys right now, if they can do it to the president, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, well, judges have immunity. Well, I was telling Stacy, Stacy was telling me,
So did Trump.
so does
As a
Trump.
former president, he had
Yeah.
immunities as well.
Yeah.
And they circumvented the immunity because of this apparent crime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then this should mean that a lower judge
Mm-hmm.
who has immunity, that should be circumvented for the same thing. It's a double standard because Donald Trump is criminally convicted with 34 felony counts, yet 34 documents are obstructed from my official government records.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these judges got little or no accountability and are either enjoying the benefits of their retirement or are continuing to preside on cases from the bench.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying all judges are bad, because one of my close friends is actually watching the show, and me and her went to high school and junior high together. And not all judges are bad. He's a judge, and he's a good judge. He's a very good judge. But the thing is, he's going to be following my shows now on a regular basis. And I just want you to know that when I had my friend Alice watch a couple of my shows, she couldn't believe that was happening. She couldn't believe that such corruption happens. And a lot of, how can I say it? The corruption is coming from within the states. Okay, so it starts with the states, and the states implement the counties. And actually, okay, so basically, the state are enabling the counties to do what they want to do. Okay, so they're enablers. So they're what the state judges does, instead of the judge being um, neutral and look at evidence, ask the right questions, he or she tend to side with the state, I mean, with the county social workers. So the county social workers got into a habit of not being checked. There's no check and balance, nothing, no checks and balances at all in this department. So they can do and say whatever they want to say. Okay. Um, I want you guys also to understand that cases like I said, I mentioned to you earlier, that involves the county and the state, and you're naming judges and again, all these officials, they will retaliate against you. So you have to have the proper attorney to defend those rights. Stacy had a great attorney in New York, but unfortunately, when he was he had to get a pro hac vici, right? And the attorney that gave him the pro hac vici, Stacy fired because he was biased. So Stacy fired him, and of course, when she fired him, that also removes the pro hac vici that he did for that attorney that she had. And her attorney was Richard, what? I forgot his last, Ducote. Ducote? Yeah, Richard Ducote. And that's why, and then after that, of course, you tell them what happened after that when he couldn't attend anymore.
Yeah, they did whatever they could to, um, restrain me. They financially battered me so that I, couldn't afford representation as well. Um, whatever they could to compromise me to try and protect my children.
And that pretty much sums it up. Like Donald Trump said, if they come after me, they're going to come after you. And that's the God honest truth. I know a lot of you guys hate the guy, no problem. But I used to be one of you guys that used to hate him too. I never voted for him. I
Well,
didn't start
it's not
believing
even
him.
this doesn't even go to Donald Trump. This goes to Jesus Christ, because if Jesus Christ was persecuted, then so can we be.
There you go. True. That is also true. But we know that the persecution of Christians has been like this from day one. But again, I mean, I used to not like the guy either. But when I realized that everything he said, I used to think he was talking out of his butthole, to be honest with you. But everything he said is actually came to life, and it's happening right in front of my eyes. And I couldn't believe that I was so naive and gullible, as always, trusting the wrong things, the wrong people, right? And I used to think the Democrats are for the people, but in reality, they're really, honest to God, not for the people. Honest to God, they're not for the people. They are for themselves, but they use the people because their vulnerability. They use it, make them look like they are there to help them by giving them food stamps and cash aid and you name it and all this. But in reality, you guys become a number in the system, and they know everything about you. They know your life. They know how many kids you have. They know everything about you, even the newborn, even an unborn child. They know that you're going to have an unborn child. And that you become a target that moment on, because again, DPSS and CPS work hand in hand together. Okay. WIC as well. When you're a brand new mom and you go to WIC and they're telling you how to be a mom and what to feed yourself, what to feed the baby, what kind of formula. They know you don't have money. They know that you don't have the means to hire an attorney, and they will target you from even from conception, to be honest with you. The day you put your foot in that WIC program, they have you under track. They're tracking your every move. Go ahead, Stacy. Say what you need to say.
Can we hear Dottie's story? Because I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yes, we are. But you're so bad. But I just want the people to know that they are not for them. For God's sakes. Dottie, do you agree with me? You agree with me, right? Thank
Yes, I
you.
do.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's hear your story, Dottie.
Where do I begin? Um, in the very beginning, when my son and his girlfriend found out they were pregnant, they were excited. As grandma, I was being supportive, purchased, stuff for a nursery. And then as time went on, they came to my husband and I and asked if we would take custody of their son because the mother was having difficulty with CPS with her other son. So, of course, my husband and I agreed. There was the safety plan. We were going to take custody. They were even going to try to move down here to give birth and then go back to New York. I live in Tennessee. But as it got closer, well, November 4th of 2020, the mother did a judicial surrender of her son. And she was told that if she surrendered that son, CPS would allow her to keep the son she's carrying. So we'll speed ahead. My grandson was born January 13th of 21. 2 days later, I get a phone call from my son. CPS is there to take their baby. So, of course, I'm on the phone with CPS, got a hold of the grade B supervisor, let her know about the plan of us getting custody. And she said, well, you have to fill out the ICPC paperwork and go through the process. I'm like, let's start. So that was January 15th of 21. So it's also Martin Luther King's birthday weekend. On the 19th, we filed a custody petition with the family court. We had to do it electronically because of COVID. So we did that. They, let's see, January 19th. On February 12th, they returned the custody petition, citing that there was no notarized signature pages. But guess what was in that packet? Notarized signature pages. So there's another delay. Just to back up a little bit, my grandson was placed with the half sibling that was surrendered, and the foster mother is a DSS employee. So, I'm still thinking, we still have a chance that we're family first, all of that. The law was on our side because CPS never contacted us. I had to contact them. We're going through the ICPC. They're not going to find anything. So going back to resubmitting that custody petition, it was now President's Day weekend. So 12, 13, 14, 15. On the 16th, I resubmitted the same custody petition. So there's number two. I spoke to legislators. I spoke to the county attorney, and they're like, family first should be helpful. Um, the county attorney told me hire an attorney, so I did. And let's see, on June 4th, my attorney filed the third custody petition. Um, it's been monotonous, and it's all lip service, uh, delay tactics. Um, I mean, it's crazy. It's like a soap opera. That's what our life has been for over 3 years, 3.5 years. And I mean, it's crazy. You know, um, Tennessee did the ICPC. New York State received that November of 21, approved. Um, CPS sent it over to the family court. We had court November 16th of 21. We were granted intervenor status. We otherwise the judge did not want to hear anything from my attorney because we all attended virtually.
Can you put your phone where it was before? We can hear you better before.
Is it okay now?
Yes, now it is. Yeah.
Sorry. So that was the first judge. We've been through 5 judges. So the first judge was retiring. The elected one came in January. We filed a custody petition in January. I believe it was January 14th of 22. We had a court date of April. It was adjourned. We finally got into the courtroom May 25th. At this time, the second judge ordered a bonding assessment. He also gave us liberal visitation in person and virtually, with a court date of October 6th. I fly up to New York October 2nd. The second judge recused himself. So here I'm up there. They tried to prevent me from being able to visit because my grandson they were trying to place him in quarantine because of COVID. But I fought that, and I was able to see him for 2 days. Let's see. I'm just trying to keep my dates straight. After that judge recused himself, we got the third one. He recused himself. The fourth one, she recused herself. And then we finally got the fifth one. And they changed the court, another court date. They had to bump it to April 27th of 23. We started our trial.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Why did the judges recuse themselves? Do you know anything about that? That's a
I
lot
have
of
no idea why they recused themselves. We were
They
just
probably
told.
didn't want to go against the law.
Excuse me?
Maybe they didn't want to go against the law, and that's what I'm assuming. I don't know. Stacy, do you agree or?
I believe there was a lot of ethical conflicts going
Yes.
on.
Yeah. There's Dottie, I've had several judges recused where I live and disqualified. Only one judge in Supreme Court was ethical enough to file his recusal at onset, declaring his familiarity with my ex. The rest made me figure out the relationship and have to file a motion to disqualify them. And with that many recusals, something was going on in that process. But my guess is the judges knew that your children were in the custody of a CPS caseworker, and they knew the intent was for that caseworker to kidnap your children from you.
In the first permanency hearing report that was filed, the Fosters already wanted to adopt my grandson.
And the Fosters being a CPS caseworker.
Yes. Well, she was a CPS employee, but she was not a caseworker. It is our belief her friends delayed everything to give more time for the bonding to occur.
Right. Yes, that's what all the delays were for the bonding, so they could say that the child is now bonded with the foster.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure most relatives will do their own little side investigation. Like we found out that the foster mother is friends with the second judge's wife on social media. Let's see. The fourth judge, she is not a family court judge. She works in another town in the county. And the CPS attorney, because the county attorney's office took over DSS Legal. So now this attorney, he is an assistant county attorney who is overseeing this case for DSS, is also a judge in the same town as that fourth judge was. Now, it was just enough for the DSS attorney, assistant county attorney, to make an affirmation, turn it in. The fourth judge approved it, suspending my son's visitation to ever see his son. So it's been a year and a half since my son even had a chance to see his son. So, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's just so many ins and outs and twists and turns. But when they did the bonding assessment, it was supposed to be about the half siblings. I had to ask CPS to include me, where it was phone. It wasn't even virtual. It was phone, where the foster parents were able to go in with both boys. Now, keep in mind that DSS are the clients for the group that completed the bonding assessment. So, I mean, it's like from the get-go, no chance. But, like we started our trial in April of 23. And it was just one day. And, my husband and I, we both got our in-person visit. And when we returned him, we took him back to the room. We gave him his bath, because every time he would have an in-person, my grandson would have an in-person visit, he would go back and she would make a complaint. He did, I did this or I did that. And it continues, even till today, we're still battling that. We've had, let's see, trial began in April. We were supposed to go back in June. The judge adjourned it. I had my plane ticket bought. And I also tried to set up an in-person visit with my grandson. The caseworker told me the foster family is not available. And it's like, what do you do? I waited. That was May 19th. I requested the week of June 9th. So I never heard back. The Monday that fell during the week of June 9th, the caseworker contacts me, emails me. I set up transportation for your visit. I'm like, what visit? I gave them almost 2 weeks. It was 10 days to get back to me for a visit. And he's telling me the week of, I canceled my plane ticket. And he's like, well, do you want me to cancel the visit? I'm like, how can you cancel something that didn't exist?
What do you want to bet, Miss G? They knew about her plane ticket. What do you think? You're on mute.
What did you say? What was your question?
I said, what do you want to bet they knew about her plane ticket, and that's why
They
they
knew.
did that to her?
Absolutely, they knew.
Well,
I'll bet you every penny I have in my account. You already know how much that is.
I mean,
but yeah, I bet that.
Yeah, they had to have, because I filed complaints. I mean, I've written complaints to anybody and everybody. I received a letter from a chief court clerk saying, oh, they've bent over, not verbatim, this is in my words, but they've bent over backwards to accommodate my traveling. I'm like, what? And I sent a copy. I had my plane ticket. No, they're not accommodating. So somebody's reaching out further than the county, telling false statements. It's to fit their narrative. It's to fit their design. And it doesn't matter that Graham and Pop have been approved for the first ICPC. Well, August of, let's see, I'm just trying to think. I think it was August of 22. They let the first ICPC expire. So the caseworker contacts me, lets me know, and she goes, well, we could do another one. I'm like, absolutely. We went through the process again. And once again, it was November of 22. New York State received an approved Tennessee ICPC. So it's up there. I also received an email prior to that from the caseworker. They have no intentions on sending my grandson to Tennessee. Now, they could have sent him for up to a 30-day visit under the ICPC, and they wouldn't, you know. Even when we first were approved from the judge for in-person visits, they tried to say it was only for a day. So I had to fight every step of the way. June.
And then did they try to say that you were inconsistent with attending visits and not so interested in all this?
Oh, they never have. They've never said I was inconsistent. I've missed one visit since we started our visits in June of 21.
That's amazing with all the things that they
22.
were doing to you, you know, with your scheduling visits when you had your plane ticket, telling you last minute and making you jump through hoops, and you made it to every single one like that, except for one.
Well, jump to this year. A new caseworker came in. She was also a foster parent, working as a caseworker in the county. And she has spoken out, you know, publicly, because when this all started and it was becoming more publicized, it was mentioned about, you know, employees not being able to foster. Well, of course, that's who is now the new caseworker on this case.
So
So
hold on one
she,
second. So I think all these judicial recusals, I'm betting these judges were kind of saying, you know, this shouldn't be happening. And then they made that new policy.
they made that new policy after a group came in and investigated, you know, citing a lot of documentation was missing. You know, when they presented their findings to the
Obstructed
legislators,
documents,
that
Miss
was
G.
June of 22. They came in the fall of 21, and it was a CPA group that came in to do it, who was trained by OCFN, Office for Children and Family Services. But on May 7th, there's a court date. Now, we have been excluded from any court dates because the Article 6 trial ended, where we lost to DSS. But nothing took place because the mother had fired her attorney. But DSS reports to the judge, this is according to an attorney who was in the room, that after any and all visits, not just ours, the sitter, he returns to the sitter distressed. Okay. The sitter is the foster father's mother.
Manufacturing false claims.
Well, now the caseworker contacts me to let me know we went from 2 visits a week to 2 visits a month.
Wait, how old is the child?
He is now 3.5.
How old was he at the time?
At the time he was removed, 2 days old. But now, because they, you know, went to the judge has now given us 2 times a month visits. How do we go from 8 to 2? Well, when the caseworker calls me, she goes, oh, when my grandson goes back to the sitter, she's having trouble settling him down. Okay, you want to see pictures of our visits?
Stacy, are you all right?
Yeah, no, this story's horrible.
I know.
And I could show pictures of him giving us air hugs, blowing us kisses, being silly. I could show you pictures of the supervisor trying to get him to get his backpack on to leave, and he does not want to leave.
There you go.
But
so the child is distressed not because of you. The child is distressed because he wants to be with you, not go back to this evil, demonic being. You know?
I could show you pictures of almost every in-person visit when I have to send him back and he's crying because he doesn't want to go back.
I believe
But,
you. I
I've
believe
never
you.
reported it. I was advised not to report it. But they have trouble getting him in the car once to attend a visit, which he was outside playing.
Wait, why did they advise you not to report it? Because I was told that too. And
No, they
others
told me
were
not to
told that.
report it to CPS.
Why? Who told you that?
My attorney's office did because it would make me look bad that
No,
that
no. Let me
I
tell you
couldn't
why. Let
control.
me. I get you. I know. I know what you're gonna answer, but I wanna address this real quick. The
Your
reason
attorney
they
is in on it, right, Miss G?
no,
Oh,
the reason they telling you guys not to report it is because anything that is reported, it is written down, and they don't want it to be written down, so it doesn't look as evidence when you go back to sue them. So basically, they're trying to stop any report submitted, any complaint submitted. That's why they hire attorneys for you guys to represent you for free. And those attorneys are not CPS defense attorneys. I'm telling you the God honest truth. These
Well,
attorneys are like immigration attorneys or whatever the heck they are. They're not even, they don't know anything about CPS. They
well,
are run by the state and the county. Yes.
I had to retain my own attorney.
Okay, then he's in cahoots with them.
yeah, that's what I'm
Your
Um,
saying.
own attorney that you paid for would not, if that attorney is a CPS defense attorney, he or she would not do that.
my attorney is from a couple of counties out. He has been put through the ringer because my attorney is the one who brought a lot of this to light to the county. Um, they were thinking of how CPS changes the narrative of what
Tracy,
actually happens
wake up.
and making it look bad on my part when it's
Mhm.
actually he doesn't want to go back to the foster home. And CPS would change that to make it look like I did something, you know, to make my grandson not want to go back to the foster home.
Okay, okay, I want to ask you a question. When you said that they put your attorney through the hoops, first of all, is the attorney that you paid for, is he or she a CPS defense attorney?
No, I don't.
Oh, the reason they put your attorney through the hoops because he or she doesn't understand what the strategy is to go around their bullying. Okay, they're gonna try to bully all they want. Believe me, they will try to bully the attorney. But if the attorney is not aware of jurisdiction, of CPS jurisdiction, state laws, state jurisdiction, all this, he or she's not gonna is not gonna win. He or
Yeah,
she's not gonna go. It's not gonna go above the situation. They're going to be going down, 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 and dragging you with them. That's why it's important. And I know there is no CPS defense attorneys I guess can find that can really help. But again, it's very important to have the right one, though. It's so important to hire the right attorney.
yeah. I mean, I still believe in my attorney only because he he honestly he I believe he did his best. I believe his office did their best, and we had a biased judge who they had to pull from out of county, from the neighboring county. He would look at the DSS attorney, remember, slash assistant county attorney, because this judge, the fifth judge, he wasn't a family judge, family law judge. He didn't want to be there. He looked down upon me, my husband, my son, my grandson's mother, and I just believe we were, he treated us like we were garbage. He always referred back to the assistant county attorney on making his judgments. We received a letter from and a personal phone call from the administrative court judge who oversees this judge. And he apologized because of having 5 judges, and that just because we live in Tennessee, it should not be held against us. And I have reached out to the new uh, uh, OCA, the new administrative court judge. I've heard nothing back. Yeah, it's just nobody seems to want to get involved when it comes to CPS and family court.
Yeah, you get nothing but a witch hunt. That's what it
Yes,
is.
it's a
Yeah, it's a witch
runaround.
hunt.
Nobody wants to be bothered. They know there's a problem. They have to.
Yeah, they do. They really
And they
do.
just don't want to help. Our kids are being stolen.
I know.
How do you expect a 3, 4-year-old to support a newborn? This was all by design. The foster mother working there heard that, you know, the child that was just surrendered has a half sibling being born. And she wanted them. Who doesn't want a 2-day-old newborn?
Yeah.
And I have 5 other grandchildren, and they want their cousin. My grandson in New York wants to come visit and see his cousins and aunts and uncles, and it's just it's terrible. It's how I don't know how they could go to sleep at night. It's with everybody, they're hurting.
I understand that, but by law, really, the law states that kids, um, family members first, and it doesn't matter where, because Attorney Davis on a couple of his shows he mentioned that it's anywhere in the world. It's not necessarily anywhere in the United States. List all the names anywhere in the world, because that information that you're handing to the court appointed attorney and the social worker, that has to be submitted into court as evidence that there's a list of family members that's willing to care for these children. And that's the attorney's defense. Your attorney would, well, if you have the right one, will argue in court. So you couldn't find one suitable out of 25 names or 50 names or 11 names or whatever the names, the number of names. You couldn't, that's what he would argue in court, that social worker couldn't find one suitable.
Well,
But the reason that I
in
want to send, go ahead.
in the beginning, we did it ourselves. We did not have an attorney. Now, my grandson was removed January 15th. The first court appearance with mom and dad was January 19th. The grade B supervisor reported to the court that there were no known relatives for placement. I just
Right.
spoke to her on the 15th.
Right. But again, you're having verbal communication. And again, you did not hire the attorney from the beginning. Had you hired the attorney from the beginning, the attorney's job, the CPS attorney's job, is to ensure that you're going to have placement. I mean, that the child or the babies stay with you because you're a family member. Now,
My
but you guys
son's
wait
attorney
until,
fought this.
but
My
again,
son's
when you
attorney
open,
went to bat.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to have the right defense attorney, CPS defense attorney. You guys
Well,
did not have the right CPS defense attorney. I'm telling you, what they're telling you, that they went around and they've jumped hoops for you. Well, you don't know what goes on. They have other hearings without you. You
I'm
don't know what's going on. You're not the parent, and the
right.
parent doesn't even know what's going on.
I I'm going based off of the documentation, and I was receiving guidance from the attorney. This attorney asked to be released from my son's case because of what was happening. She wasn't fired. She requested to be taken out of that case because she also was not from that county.
Right, but guess why she did that? Why do they remove themselves from the case? They don't want to argue with the state and county. Why is that? Because he or she want to be a judge one day. Okay. Oftentimes attorneys, they want to be judges. So what they do is they have to be attorneys first, right?
Right.
Right. And then they work their way up to a judge, or on their back. I don't know how they do it. But anyways, the thing about it is it's all connected. So when an attorney removes herself from the case or himself from the case without you giving them a reason, it's because of that. They know their limit and they can't go pushing it anymore, right?
Right.
Because they don't want to retaliate against the state and county. Because in return, they're going to retaliate against them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dottie? Yeah. So they don't, and believe me, there's a lot of attorneys who are retaliated against. There's a mother, actually, attorney. She's all over social media. She's an attorney. She fought really hard for her client, and they came after her own kids, after the attorney's children. That's how sad it is. So people don't understand the danger in going against them. That's why you have to go against them using specific strategy. You can't, like Attorney Davis, me and him deal with this daily, and I have him on calls with a lot of people that want to hire an attorney, and they all say the same thing. We're good parents. We have nothing to hide. Um, we're going to win this because the court appointed attorney is free. He or she is going to help us. But in reality, anything that's free is too good to be true.
No, I
And
agree.
yeah, so anything that's too good to be true, it's really not true, right? Because free, they need you. They have motives behind the free, okay? Because they're really not free. They get paid,
You're
but
absolutely right.
they still get paid, but they get paid to destroy your case. Okay, so none of these are going to help you. Basically, any attorney, a lot of people say to me and Attorney Davis, oh, well, the relatives, that is, the children attorney told me. Well, first of all, the children's attorney is not siding with you because she's in to make money for the county, because without the county's children, right, kidnapping children, that attorney is not going to have a job. And also the state judge is not going to have a job. They're not going to get paid enough.
Right.
Yeah, so you guys have to
It's
be
all about the
smarter.
money.
It's all about the money. That's all it is. So people say to us,
It's
well, your office is all about the money too. No, we offer services. We don't get paid by the state to destroy you. We offer services. So yes, we do need money, right? In order for us to give you our services.
yeah.
That's not it does not compare. The two doesn't compare. But the court appointed attorneys get paid for destroying your case. So that's why it's important to get to lawyer off from day one. You have a very good case, Tati. Very good case. But the case is so old right now, it's gonna cost you so much money if you want to hire an outside attorney to fight your case. Okay?
But see, that's the whole thing. It's like CPS takes the kids for money. The
Mm-hmm.
families put in as much money as they possibly and humanly can. And they take it to the point where the families have to stop fighting because they can't afford to fight anymore.
I think she needs a civil suit, Miss Gia, 1983.
Yeah. The 1983, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I think she needs.
I think
Because
so too.
it's so heartbreaking. I mean, I'm one family in that county who's fighting, and I know it's all over the United States, and it's
Mhm.
all over. But what CPS has done to some of the people I've been in contact with, it's scary. I had one of the legislators looking into it for me, only one, because he saw my documentation and he saw what was happening. But yet he wouldn't put the county commissioner or the county attorney, he wouldn't doubt them. And that's where the roadblock went.
Dottie,
But
when you were going through your circumstance, I found those articles where the same thing happened in my hometown, and they did end up making the CPS couple that kidnapped the kids for themselves return the kids to the biological parents.
Mhm.
Town, it did happen.
It did happen, yeah.
it's see, and I'm not trying to be mean. I don't see the bio parents getting the kids because
No,
they have
but
mental
you
health
should.
issues.
You should because you're next of kin.
You would think so, because I mean, like the bio mom, she was raised in foster care, so that takes her mother out of the equation. Um, I
Why
and
was the
I
bio mom, if I may ask, she was raised in foster care, so we know she's been through abuse, neglect, drugs, because they drug all children. And oftentimes, a 2 day old baby is great for foster moms that want to adopt because 2 day old babies, they don't know anything. They don't know who the real parents are. So that's why they want, that's like on high demand. Now, the foster mom, I mean, the biological mother that was in foster care, um, did she, the reason they took the baby is because there was drugs in her system?
no, supposedly my
Mhm.
son and her yelled at each other in the hospital room.
Oh,
Um,
Lord Jesus.
so,
Okay.
but I
Mhm.
mean, logically, it was because she just surrendered her, her older son a little over 2 months before. She was red flagged.
Under coercion. And yes, she was red flagged because she was a product of the foster system, and it's the circle back, Miss G, and I see all the time.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned that, Stacy, several times. Yeah, it's called, I call it recycling. So what it is, they destroy children. The children grow up, they have kids of their own, they want to have a life, and then they come after their own children. And that's called like, we're gonna watch you, we're gonna stalk you, we're gonna know everything about you, and then they have babies and they remove the babies from them.
They have a
It's
market for babies.
Yeah, it's a market. Yeah, it's a market. It's a huge market in the United States for
Yep.
babies, and that's why everywhere in the world they want kids from the United States. There is nowhere in the world that sells their children. There is such, like, literally nowhere. And I found out the same thing is happening in Canada. Okay, same thing is happening in Canada and Hawaii. They're actually after babies and selling children.
Our
So, but
government is selling children.
yes, I
They're
would
making
say
a
the current
profit.
administration is selling children. They know about the sales, they know about what they're doing. They know Governor Newsom knows what LA County is doing. He's a scumbag. And I say that with all due respect. He's a scumbag.
But if they were doing their jobs, and I mean, CPS,
Mhm.
child protection services, is important when used properly, not for going and stealing children from their families.
I'll give you an example. Governor
Wait, hold
Newsom
on one
signed.
second.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Miss G, if I can just say,
Uh-huh.
families are important, not CPS. Keep the kids in the families.
We know that. Yeah. But see,
Family is priority.
exactly. But our Governor Newsom, Grossom, I should say, he signed an order with Nancy Skinner, that the relatives have the first rights to these children, right? Even if they have a conviction decades old and they pose no current risk to the children, they can have placement of the children, right? But social workers are going around that law. He knows they will, right? The governor knows that they will, but they're not held responsible or accountable, rather, when they do go against the new law, right?
Right.
A lot of parents don't know that. So when I tell parents that and I mention that, that's California new law, by the way, but it's not really new. It's like, I don't know, several years old now. But a lot of parents don't know about the law. Social workers, when they're mentioned that, they're like, oh, well, your case is different. No, it's not. It really isn't different because you're leaving all the kids who are being abused with the abusers until they die by the boyfriend's hand, the mother's hand, or
Until they're
whatever. Or the
killed.
mother goes on vacation for 10 days and leaves her infant, unattended, right? Neighbors made calls. Nobody cared. But the kids who are not being abused, the kids who are not being neglected, who are in good homes, who have loving family members, are the ones who they want to adopt. Why? Because social workers focus on the adoption because it makes more money. Now, Foster parents become foster parents to adopt. That's the cheapest way to do it, right? Especially when they can't have children, they
Or
want to
make
get
money.
or
Just
make
make
money. They want
just
to
to make
have
money.
babies,
Yep.
right? So
Well,
it's all again. It's family first, bloodline first, family first. For God's sakes, that has to be the most demonic spirits in them. Like they're horrible because only demons want to separate what God put together,
Well,
right?
CPS has used the excuse that they placed my grandson with his half sibling, so therefore he is placed with family.
No, he's not.
Well, the half sibling was surrendered, so therefore maybe
that is the adjudication.
bloodlines they're related, but there's, legally they're no longer siblings. Um, and they used the law that he was placed with family. And because the foster parents adopted the half sibling, they are now my grandson's family.
The
No,
foster parent CPS caseworker.
that was a trap. You know why? Because they knew that baby was going to be born. They knew it. So that was a trap. That was a strategy, a demonic strategy from the social worker to say, "Oh, okay, well, he's with siblings, half siblings. That's why she wanted them."
Well,
Get it?
listen,
It was a trap. They were
yeah,
using that as an excuse.
there's rumors, just no proof. But the foster mother was allowed to resign her position um late March of 22. Wait, 22. Um, and then she took a position in another county position. Um, like I said, there's rumors surrounding how, but that was all done before the investigation results were made public. Isn't that a little
Mm.
fishy?
Very fishy.
But it's that's what they did. And I've got proof. I've got the documents supporting that.
Yeah, but the thing is, oftentimes you guys have proof, but was the proof submitted into court as evidence? That's the thing. Every proof that you guys want to collect, you always have to submit into court. A lot of you guys don't understand. You can't even appeal that decision, the court decision, if the proof you have was not entered into court as evidence.
See, I honestly, not being an attorney, I don't know how, all of that's done. Like, I pushed, it was very important to me to get my call log that I spoke to that grade B supervisor on the 15th. After she went to court on January 19th, that there's no relatives, it was reported, oh, she spoke to me around the 25th. No. And because she agreed that she did speak to me, that call log couldn't be put into, um, as an exhibit.
Wow.
There's articles written from that investigation that, they were given recommendations that more information should be in the case files of who was at the meeting for placements and all of this. That was missing. It wasn't part of their records. And even during the trial, the witnesses from CPS, they couldn't give direct answers. And they were allowed to say, I don't know, I can't remember. One even came in and said she doesn't even know why she's testifying today.
Wow.
It's scary. I trusted the government. I trusted the law until this happened. I was very naive. Never. I've got a recording of the county attorney stating, "Oh, he's helping us because what they did was wrong."
We're We all got into this the same way, Dottie, so don't feel bad about that. We all got into this being naive and trusting our government.
Because if we didn't do anything wrong, what do we have to fear?
See, that's the thing. The innocent is always guilty, and the guilty is always innocent in the law. Okay, so when it comes to law, how many times have you heard of men who are jailed who found out later, the court found out later, 35 years later, that they're innocent?
Yeah.
They wasted 35 years of their lives, right?
Right.
So the corruption um, is so bad that most of the jail facility have innocent people there. When people say the system works, our judicial system doesn't work. It only works for those who have money.
Yep.
And I'm being honest with you.
I I
And that's
agree.
the bottom line. We have clients who sold their homes to hire Attorney Davis, because they know that they can easily buy another home, but they can't buy their own kids again. So they figured either the house or the kids, and they chose their kids. I'm not kidding. We have a client that I still talk to until today who sold everything he had. Literally, he was staying with her sister and her husband until the case was done. He got his kids back. God blessed them. And I'm not joking. This is a true story. God blessed him with an amazing job working for Disney. And he's what do you call it? The technician, computer, I don't know, something with technology. And he made so much money. He bought a house and he bought a duplex and he's renting them.
Wow.
So he said, because he chose the priority first. That's a true story. He chose the priority first. Oftentimes people say, well, no, I don't want to sell my house. Well, I'm not going to have a house for the kids. But what you guys don't get is the kids are your blessing.
Right. Well,
When you
my
fight
fam
for your blessing, when you get your blessing, that's going to be your breakthrough.
my family has every right to be one solid unit, and CPS has stolen that. There's a piece missing. Now, like, I cannot sell my home and my property because I have one son with his wife and four kids on the property.
Hmm.
I have another son with his girlfriend and their son on my property. Then, if I was to sell, where do all of them go? We've provided the shelter for the two sons who live here that came with us to Tennessee.
That's really
We
sad, Miss
provide the
G.
shelter for five grandkids out of six.
That's really sad, Miss G, because these children are missing a very close knit family that all lives together that could have supported them to grow up.
I will. I walk out on my back porch. I look to my right. There's one set. I look to my left. There's the other son and his family. My grandson would have been right in the middle. I have the day that they took my grandson away, I had another one being born. So they're only 2 days apart.
Oh my God.
So here, while I should be happy and excited, which I was for one being born, I'm fighting CPS because they're stealing my other one.
I want you to keep away from uh, announcing any child siblings that you have. Let's keep away from that,
Okay.
um, because you don't want them to know.
Well, that's been some of the heartache and suffering that we've done.
Mm.
Um, Even though we're together, they have distanced themselves from my husband and I because they don't want to be a part of it and have their kids taken away.
Oh, that's
So,
understandable. Okay.
and I don't blame them. I don't
No.
blame them, but who suffers? The grandkids here and me and my
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah. And don't fault them. Honestly,
I
they do
don't.
love you. They do love you, but their priority is their child or children. And oftentimes, what is true when you are in a CPS case and you have friends or relatives that have siblings, small kids, they will come after them.
Yep. And my son and his ex-girlfriend,
Mhm.
are now in the process of CPS terminating parental rights, the TPR.
Oh my God.
And trust me, like I said, my son has mental health issues. CPS is retaliating against him and his new girlfriend so bad. It's scary. It's
When you
scary
say
that he's
mental health issues, what is that? What type of mental health?
um I could tell you, which I agree, when he was younger, bipolar. Um I couldn't tell you what they called it through the the testing they did up there. Once again, CPS is their client, so they're going to make a narrative that fits what CPS wants for their design.
But wait a minute. Was he diagnosed by CPS or by a professional?
He was diagnosed by CPS's professional group.
Okay, that's a lie
It,
because
it, it- yes,
it's a
and it
lie.
was
I'm
used
sorry.
in the
Mhm,
trial. It
mhm,
was used against me.
mhm.
Um, I mean, you know what I'm dealing with. It's crazy. You feel so alone. CPS wants to demoralize the people who are going up against them.
I tell this to everyone I meet or everyone I come across is that men, I wish I can talk to all men out there, but when you're with a girl, a woman, make sure this person doesn't have a CPS case before. Because if you have children or start a family with this woman, your kids, those kids will be removed from the hospital. Each baby will be removed from the hospital. Life is not the way it was before. There's more drugs now, more trafficking. I mean, the trafficking is like increasing by hour. I mean, by second. Okay, the world is so demonic right now as we are here, and it gets worse and worse and worse. You have to know who you want to start a family with. And this is the only advice I can give men and women too, because the man that you're with could have an open CPS case before you. And of course, if you have his baby and he signs the birth certificate, they're going to know that he had a CPS case before. Okay? Social security number tracks everyone. Okay, so please be careful who you open your heart to, and this is why I am pretty much just I literally just I would rather live for God. Okay, honestly, this is the world is so scary. The world is scary.
Yeah, it's
Scary.
so difficult because you know, like my son's girlfriend, my grandson's mother, did have an open CPS case, which who would have thought? Honestly, who would have thought? And when she wasn't being honest with what was going on, um you know and it's like it wasn't my business. It didn't become my business until they took my grandson, and like I
Mhm.
said, we were more than willing to adopt the half sibling. But once again, oh, you don't know him. He's been with us for a year and a half. But here this foster mother slash DSS employee is receiving confidential information about, you know, stuff she shouldn't, being a foster. Any other foster parent would never have gotten this information. And once
No,
again,
they do. No, 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 no. They do.
oh yeah, well,
They do.
they,
The other foster parents get false information about the parent, and it makes them hate the parent before they even met the parent.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandson never had any hope for even reunification with his family, his mom and dad. Um, we have an email that the foster mother sent to the attorney for my grandson. Where but yet D- DSS went without a commissioner from August of 21 until like March of 22. So the, I forget her title, but the director took over as commissioner, and she reported lies that can be proven lies to the legislators. And like I said, the one legislator who was looking into it, he called her out on it. And, it's like that gives you hope. And then something happens, and it's like that hope, there is no hope. There is no hope to fight CPS when you're a good person, unless you've got the money to back you up to continue the fight.
Yeah.
And that's not fair for families. So it's not just my husband and I and my grandson suffering, as well as his parents for losing their child. I've got grandkids and other kids here with us that are suffering as well.
It's true. And I spoke to a federal judge before. Um, he also, once in a while, he watches my shows when he's not traveling with his wife. But, you know, back in his time, it wasn't that bad, right? It's getting worse as we speak, like I told you guys. And that came from his mouth as well. It's getting worse. He can make a difference behind, the scene. We can make a difference behind the scene. But at the end of the day, if we all don't make a difference together, it's only a few of us, right? We don't have the right power. Well, we don't have the intense power to do it alone. We need more. So basically, when you guys were, I remember with George Floyd, God rest his soul, I literally cried. When that man cried out for his mom, I cried. I cried. A grown man. I still remember him. Like my body, shivers when I remember him, right? Because regardless of his past or anything like that, he died unjustly, right? Everybody in the country, they marched for this man, right? But I don't see anyone in the country marching for all the children who are being kidnapped by the Department of Children and Family Services. If the government sees all of us like this, blacks and whites and Asian and Middle Eastern and Chinese and whatever, purple, green, it doesn't matter, marching together as one, oh boy, the Biden administration is going to poop bricks, right? Because now we're in one hand. We pay their salary, but they fear you guys, because fear, right, is the way to get you in bondage. We were not born with fear. I wasn't born afraid. I was born with love. I learned fear from what is around me. But then when I learned again that fear is not from God, it's from Satan and his little demonians, right? I realized if I fear, that means I don't believe in God. I want you guys to stand together, all of us together, without fear. Without fear. That's,
Oops.
go ahead.
I am speaking out, knowing it's going to hurt me and my family, but others need to know that they're not alone. And if we unite as a unit, a whole unit, it's so easy to sweep one case under the rug. But if we stand united, they can't sweep us all under the rug. They can't. That's why I have to speak up. I'm grandma. I'm risking a lot with, with my grandson, but I don't want it to happen again and again and again. I want to be able to help those that are going to come behind me. And I don't know what else I could do to help them, but to be public about my experience and what's happened and what we're going through and how we're feeling. And they're not alone, and they need to join us to speak up. But I understand too, retaliation. You know, they're going to be retaliated against if they speak up. But the more we expose, how can they keep retaliating when there's more believers seeing what they're doing? They're not going to be able to retaliate quietly without it being exposed. Families need to be together. That's what God wanted, was for families. They we
I
need to.
want to say something. I want to say something. When we invite fear, we separate ourselves from God. When you guys speak out negative about your situation, the devil can only take your words because he hears, the demons hear what you're saying, but they cannot read your mind. They can't read what you write down. They can't. Only God can. God examines the heart. He knows what's in your heart, even before you speak it. So the devil can only put thoughts in our head, thoughts. But we take those thoughts that he places, we hear it, right? He places it, we implement it, we're doing his work, right? So when you speak positive, let it be praising God, because the devil hates that. But let your request from him be known in writing and in your mind. When you're in your room by yourself, that's how you communicate with God. No words, through your mind, through your heart, right? The reason, like Jesus said, don't be like those hypocrites on the street shouting the name of God, right? They're hypocrites. They want to be known as Christian. They want to be known as, they're the best of the best, right? God told us to pray for our enemies. Pray for them. Because when we pray for them, that's putting God in, like interacting God in the midst of both of you, right? And the fire will be among them, meaning it will be like coils on their body, burning coils on their body. So we just don't, God is accessible for us, but we don't know how to communicate with him. Because oftentimes, as human, we tend to speak the negative out. When you speak the negative out, the devil knows what's bothering you. The devil will take it and implement it, right? So when we trust God and we communicate with him through our mind and through our heart, it's a spiritual communication. Rather than speaking it, the devil can't hear. So when the devil can't hear what you're communicating with God spiritually, then he or she, I mean, the demons, whether it's a woman that they possessed or a man, what they're going to do interruption. They're going to interrupt you. They're going to call you excessively. Somebody's going to ring your doorbell like nonstop. Um, Randomly, you're going to get like messages on your phone. So the best advice I can give you guys is make sure you turn off your phones and disconnect yourself from the world and just communicate with God. Did I lose you, Dottie? Okay. All right. So that's something that I learned throughout my life, and again, it's something my parents and my church taught me. So learn learn how to communicate with God, and you're going to be victorious. But do not be wishy-washy. Do not be hot and cold, right? You have to lukewarm, I mean. Don't be like, oh, there's God. Oh, no, there's no God because God didn't help me. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't be like that. That doesn't work. God is interacted through our faith and through prayers. You cannot be living in a sin and expect God to be in the midst of darkness. Darkness, you can't put a holy person in darkness. That's why the light overpowers darkness. You have to be in the light if you want God to be with you. And that's the truth. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it to you guys, but you need to stay away from clubs, from drinking, from drugs, from sleeping around with different people, you know, I mean, I don't like that part, honestly. Don't do that. Don't do that, because your body is a temple. It's a holy temple too. The Holy Spirit is in you. If you are living in sin, the Holy Spirit cannot be in sin, right? The Holy Spirit will separate you, will be separated from the Holy Spirit. Sin is what separates you from God, period. Take it as you wish. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not forcing this on anyone. You guys are old enough to make your own decisions. Even God gave us the free will to make our own decisions. But I choose God before I choose anyone in the world. Okay? God even comes before my family. And I'm being honest. He comes before my family. Okay? And if you guys have that kind of relationship with God, there is nothing impossible for him. Nothing impossible.
I mean, it's amazing. God has helped me get through these 3.5 years. The change that I feel within me, I owe it to God. He's given me the strength. He continues to lead me through these waters that are being created. And I mean, I'm a different person, and I'm a calmer person. Um, I get nervous, of course, but my anxiety isn't as high as it used to be because it's in God's hands. I have to ask him to help get me through and what he feels is
But
best.
ask him between you and him. Do not let the enemy hear your words. What I'm saying
Yep.
is so important, you guys. How to communicate with him, your mind, your heart, and your mind speak. I know, like right now, I can speak to you guys without opening my mouth.
Hmm.
He can read your mind. The devil can't. But again, your words is powerful, very powerful. You can tell a mountain to move if you have faith as small as a mustard seed. Jesus said, you
Yep.
can tell a mountain to move and it will move. But we don't have that type of faith. We don't even have a faith smaller than a mustard seed. Because in the midst of our trials and tribulation, we tend to forget who our Creator is. We forget Him. And He keeps pulling us closer, but we forget Him because the devil knows once he puts chaos in your life, right? You're going
Yep.
to forget.
He feeds off of it. The devil feeds off of the chaos.
That's what gives him power.
Yep. And you can't give him that power. And
We're
I mean,
giving him. We're giving him the power. We're giving
yep.
the devil power because every time we're angry, he feels more powerful. Every time we're this, that's why people who hurt people, right? I feel sorry for them because they're possessed by demons. And demons, they are using the body, the flesh, as their little puppets.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, so you have to be very careful. If you are tend to hurt people and they're telling you that you're hurting them, work on yourself. You
Yep.
need to work on yourself because you could be the sweetest, nicest human being in the world, but you're possessed and you don't know why you do what you do. Okay?
You have to look inside that box
Yeah,
and see the problem
yeah,
and then work on yourself. And then
yeah,
the people around you will
yeah,
be better
yeah, yeah, exactly.
because you helped yourself.
There you go. Dottie, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And you are definitely a delight to speak with. And if you want to be with us again, please do so. I know Stacy is guiding you as much as you can, but you're in New York, right?
I'm in Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee, but the case is in
Yeah.
New York?
My grandson is in New York.
Okay, got it. Okay. Um, yeah.
Well,
So
thank you for having me.
I want you to, I'm going to ask Stacy some more questions about it. And I'm going to talk to her more about your case. And
Okay.
I'm gonna see if just let me work it out with her, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll go from there because there is a way to get your grandchild back. There's a way, and I will talk to Attorney Davis as well too. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Miss
All right.
G.
You are so welcome. Thank you. I'm honored to meet you.
I'm honored to meet you and have a beautiful afternoon in California.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. All right, everyone. I'm gonna end the show. And Ashley, I did not ignore you, baby. Archie, thank you for watching again. Ashley, I read all your messages, and if you're still there, I'm not sure if you are. Um, but if you just call me at 626-631-8901 or text me at the same number. Again, 626-631-8901. You can text me. That is my direct work number. You can text me. Uh, there's a few questions I want to ask you about your comments about your case. All right. All right, everyone. God bless you. Stay safe, and don't forget to pray. And I will see you guys next week.